Live, only on DAZN. Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. One is defending a name, the other is building one. The ring doesn't care where you come from, only if you can survive in it. Saturday, June 28th, Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Oop, go right to the body from Brian. Man, that's doo-doo ball. That's doo-doo ball. Oh, shit! Oh, my God! You don't have to hit him with a... Oh, God! Sasaki, is he okay? He bowed to everybody. No, Brian, what is wrong with you? Brian, he's not okay. Why are you bowing to every... Stop, get the ambulance. Oh, my God, they brought out a stretcher. Brian, you done took Juneteenth way too damn far. No. Brian, you psycho Brian Norman, you damn Brian Norman Bates Jr.
See, and they'll know, and they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
All right, let's talk. All right, let's talk. I'm just gonna cut to the mustard, bro. I don't think DAZN the American Dream Haney has much of a chance against Brian Norman Jr.
You can't win!
You can win, child.
After what I've seen in his last two fights, I don't think Devin Haney has much of a chance. That's one. Two, I think Jerron Boots Ennis, his stock has gone down more after what happened this morning. All right, let's talk. Starting with Devin the American Dream Haney. You guys know I had Bill Haney on the channel yesterday during our live stream. It was probably the best podcast we've ever had on this channel. So much love to the War Room with the questions you asked. Much love to Bill Haney for coming to the War Room. He said the War Room's crazy. We all know we're crazy. With that said, Brian Norman Jr. seems to be all wrong for Devin Haney. And I don't think there's going to be too many people who disagree right now. And the reason why I can't help but to say this right now is because, one, I haven't seen Devin Haney campaign yet at 147, to be real. And I know Devin Haney would fight Brian Norman. I know he's on Bill Haney's hit list, on the Team Haney's hit list. Brian Norman Jr. was there. And I know social media is revving up, speaking about Devin Haney and Boots Ennis. So I know Devin would fight him. All right, he'll fight anybody. I get that. But I'm just saying my analysis, my take of it. I haven't seen Devin Haney at 147 yet. I would like to see him at 147. And I would like to see him take on a true 147 pounder. Not a Hitchens moving up to 147. Big kid moving up to 147. Not that. More of a middleweight who moves down to 147, who shrinks to 147. A true 147 pounder. I would like to see him against that person. All right. And I would like to see that for a few reasons. Because I think in order to beat Brian Norman Jr., he's going to have to hurt him. Because unlike Jose Ramirez, Brian Norman Jr. is a fantastic athlete. I've seen what he's done athletically. The guy's a fantastic athlete. So Devin Haney is going to have to be in the pocket more against Brian Norman. Okay? He's gonna move, of course, but there's going to be just a ton of opportunities where he's going to have to be in the pocket more. And I know the Haney's doesn't give a shit. I know Devin Haney doesn't care about me. He's been in the pocket his whole career. He only moved around against Ramirez, all right? But I'm just saying, with that being the case, Sasaki hit Brian Norman with some good shots. Santillan, I've seen Brian Norman hit with some very good shots. And all that made him do was turn up. Those are against big hitters at 147. Devin the American Dream Haney isn't seen as a big hitter at 135. You get what I'm saying? I do think closer to his walk around weight, he'll be swatting a bit more and taking better punches. I do. Because I think he'll be healthier. So it's closer to his walk. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. And Brian Norman Jr., the type of punches he throws, with the violence he throws them, at the speed he throws them, the punch selections he's having, and as a champion, how calm he is now in breaking down his opponents. I I do not see Devin Haney absorbing that shit. And honestly, I think Brian Norman Jr. punches harder than Ryan Garcia. And I mean Ryan Garcia on Osterine, all right? I think, whatever you want to call it, I think Brian Norman Jr. at 147 punch harder than Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia at 147. And I think it's the same chin, at least, from 140 to 147 for Devin Haney. I just think Brian Norman Jr. is all wrong for him. And I think, regardless of how well Devin Haney boxes, at the end of the day, it's going to have to be a fight. I know I have already spoken too long because in the comments, people are saying, you got that from Sasaki. Sasaki isn't much of a fighter. He has a weak chin. All those things you guys are going to say. The difference between what you guys are going to say in the comments and what you guys are already thinking watching the video is I've watched Sasaki. I know Jen Sasaki. The War Room has been up at 3 in the morning watching Jen Sasaki. Here's evidence of one moment. Good left hook. Man, it was up until that point, Sakai was good right hand again. Oh, good left hook. Oh, God. Sasaki is ripping some big shots on Sakai. Sakai said, come on. He absorbing all that. And if you notice, Sasaki keeps pushing Sakai when they get close to each other. Why? He wants to see how good his foundation is after those big shots. Good jab from Sakai. Sasaki is very young to be that smart. He's very young. He just got great boxing intuition. So I've watched Jen Sasaki and I've called his fights. I now recall 2 of his fights. He was also on the undercard of Inoue versus Doheny. So I've seen him at least twice, and both times I was impressed by Sasaki. I was impressed by his youth and just how well he boxed at that age, his IQ at that age. I was also impressed by his power, all right, how he breaks you down and everything. So I know Sasaki. You know, we're up and we do the work in the War Room. So I know Sasaki. That is a very good victory. With that said, Sasaki has at least campaigned at welterweight. I can't help but to think that Brian Norman Jr. beats Devin the American Dream Haney. I do. Hopefully, it's not that easy. Hopefully, if that fight happens, I'm pleasantly surprised by the war it ends up being. All right, I prefer that more than anything. But that is my analysis. Number 2, Boots Ennis. I don't think Boots Ennis ducked Brian Norman Jr. I don't. And I don't think with this performance from Brian Norman Jr., that really means he ducked him because now he went to 154. I don't think that. I think Brian Norman Jr. was been outgrown 147, and he was saying it after his fight against Karen, I think it was, or maybe it was David Evans. I forgot who it was, but I've shown that clip a million times, and he said it's time to go to 154. So I think he'd been outgrown it. That's why I don't think he ducked Teofimo Lopez either, right? With that said, that means to me, he really ducked Virgil Ortiz. That's how it feels to me. I said it before, and I'm going to be consistent with it, and I'm going to tell you how in just a moment, all right? But Boots in the stock did go down with the Brian Norman KO because of perception. People are saying this all on social media, and that's important. The perception of the boxing fan, or even the casual, but those who speak boxing, who likes to talk boxing, the perception is important. Because that's the fan base. The perception is he ducked Brian Norman Bates, all right? And that followed him ducking Teofimo Lopez. That's the perception. I don't think that's reality, but that's the perception. So his stock went down. Both of those things are following, though, what I perceive to be a duck on Virgil Ortiz. The reason why I think he ducked Virgil Ortiz is because he was negotiating with Virgil Ortiz for the fight card of the century. He ended up dropping out of that. So the contracts were on the table and all of those things. So the point where they put him on a poster, all right? Virgil Ortiz ended up fighting Madrimov on that card, I believe, which was a great replacement. But Boots Ennis didn't want to fight Virgil Ortiz because he said he still had more business at 147. And they were saying, and you Boots Ennis fans and a lot of you guys were saying that he wanted to become undisputed at 147. What's wrong with that? Well, in hindsight, he only had one more fight at 147, couldn't do it and moved up, that's what I was saying the whole time. In order for him to become undisputed at which do your thing, I just knew that was going to take a long time. You can't just say, I want to be undisputed, everybody, and then fights line up. It doesn't work that way. I mean, becoming undisputed is difficult and is mostly a political thing. Some guy don't want to fight you now. Maybe another guy got injured, or this person prefers someone else, or you get what I'm saying? A lot of things can happen. You will end up chasing undisputed for 2-3 years. That's how it works. That's why I said I just don't see it happening. And it would have behooved him to have the highly anticipated fight with Virgil Ortiz. That would have done more for his brand and his stock and his career and his legacy than chasing undisputed at 154 for as long, or at 147 for as long as he could. All right, I just couldn't see it because he just seemed too weight drained at 147 to go on for a few years. And I brought up Errol Spence too. I said, you guys want him to get Spence, right? And Boots Ennis just finally said, I can't do it. He said it in this video.
I'm not trying to have an off night or a bad performance, and everybody be looking at me like, man, what happened? People don't even know when you cutting weight and things like that. That could affect a lot. You know, it could affect fatigue. Your legs, like your mind, all that. Like you be weak. Like you just like overstaying your part at weight divisions where you don't need to or don't have to. You know, you gotta take into consideration your health is like more important. You know, I know the fans and supporters are going to think this and think that, but at the end of the day, our health is important. Is more important than, you know, what else is going on in the world.
So I think he knew his body and he knew what he could really do. And I think there were others in his ear saying, let's go and become undisputed. I know it wasn't Bozy, because Bozy said, I'll do whatever, you know, Boots talking about. Either way, long story short, he ended up going at 154 after just one fight at 140 when he could have been on the fight card of the century. So that left hook, all in one swoop, Brian Norman Jr. made me feel that he's all wrong for Devin Haney and that Boots Ennis' stock went down due to perception. I'm going to end by saying this. What's next for Brian Norman Bates? I think it sounds funny, but I think what's probably best for him is him going the casual pop route for once. Now a lot of people know Sasaki, so they're going to say, that wasn't much of a victory and all those things. But if he goes the pop route, right, where the casual's like, okay, we know who this person is or whatever, though it may not be a more integral win, it probably would do more for him as far as his brand. And I think that's fighting Rolly Romero. I think that's taking on the GOAT. I think, you know, unifying with Rolly Romero, I think that would be the move. I do. And then when doing that, you can fight Ryan Garcia after that or something like that. I think Brian Norman Jr. fighting Rolly Romero would be the move. And I think in the long run, it looks like a train wreck ready to happen as long as Brian Norman Jr. stays with Top Rank, and this guy stays with Top Rank as well, Rohan Polanco. I think that guy has the goods, and I think they're both coming up at the same time. Though Brian Norman Jr. is champ, he's coming on to the consciousness of many boxing fans, and Rohan, them guys, I think they just meet, and it's going to be a barn burner. But let me know how you feel in the comments below. The Black2Sugars is now on DAZN. The link is in the description box below. Hit the link. Make sure you guys check out the Black2Sugars, where I interview Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda, Berlanga, and Hamza Shiraz. I'm out! WKO Berlanga.
Oh, you talking like that? I promise you're gonna have so much hate comments.
You blocked! the hell out of me. Wrong animal, dude.
That's a risk.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
My God, yes.
And that's where great things happen.
I shouldn't bet on Williams or Kevin.
Hell no. Ganarle a sus habilidades, que es donde se va a presentar a mí la dificultad.
You hear that? Okay?
You know what I'm saying? I gotta show these guys that now I'm here, and he's in my city.
This is gonna be the biggest shock in the world to them, man.
It really is getting bad. but listen.
The future is where everything's at. No dream is big enough here. No dream is big enough in New York or wherever it is in America.
Agresivos, entonces tenemos que estar siempre al tanto de, en cada momento, qué es lo que aprendimos en estas dos peleas con Farmer, de estar siempre precavidos durante toda la pelea.
You gonna lose your money, I swear.
Yeah,
matter of fact, I might call you after the fight and ask you about your money.
No, okay, bet.